in the UK, someone told me that if you walk in London for 10 minutes, you will be captured by over 200 different CCTV cameras. Okay?
Quite probably.
That is what somebody told me.
Yeah.
And they also hinted that perhaps we've done a little too much of detailing in the UK. Okay, and I'm specifically talking about the UK because that's the example that I had.
Yeah.
There was another case that I saw about UK-based UK playgrounds, children's playgrounds in the UK. And they were built for so much safety that it's virtually impossible for a child to fall down and scrape his knee, So the question I'm asking is, do you feel, and it's just your personal opinion, do you feel has anything been taken too far in a developed country, be it the UK or the US or Australia? Because on one end, there is this whole narrative that the public school education system is not working, there's long working hours, yet we produce children who are able to think. Because in India, we're looking at so many of these charter school models, think, creation, thinking. Whereas in India, so many of us are so focused on completing the portion, completing the syllabus, getting the work done. And a lot is self-regulation here. Whereas there's a lot of regulation. Any thoughts around that one?
Yeah, very good question, that one. I think in terms of sort of CCTV and regulation and monitoring of young people, that's a really big feature of what we call safeguarding in the UK. So ensuring that while students, young people are in the care of the school and the staff there, that actually nothing untoward happens. Whether that's monitoring what they're doing in the playground, whether it's monitoring what their searches are on the computer at break time and lunchtime, monitoring their well-being for signs of, let's say, physical abuse, emotional abuse and so on. Safeguarding's a big thing. There's 2 or 3 things I think that mean that is really, really important. One is particularly after lockdowns in COVID, we've seen a real increase in young people exhibiting anxiety, mental health concerns. We've got an increasing number of young people, around about 10-15% in some schools, are now being educated from home because they find actually being in school quite a challenging thing and that makes them, very, very anxious. So I think COVID has got some responsibility for that. Is it also, though, a case of actually young people have been wrapped in cotton wool for too long because teachers are worried about them failing, they're not allowed to fail, there's a safety blanket under them? Again, back to your example as to whether that's because they're tripping up in the playground, they might fail a test or fail an exam. So have we created a system in which there's actually too much cotton wool, there's too much support? And actually sometimes not doing well at something is an important learning process in itself. And actually having to work out a solution sometimes for yourself rather than to rely upon a teacher or a pastoral leader to do it. I think there's an awful lot of value in that too. CCTV is another massive thing in the UK in terms of this whole big data approach, certainly to things like policing, being able to sort of monitor where people are and what they're doing, embodied, of course, by the Chinese state are doing that more than any other. But schools, in some respects, are doing that too because they want the technology's there, and because it's there, they can use it. So I think there's the safeguarding agenda is important and it's legitimate in many ways. But actually, I do think maybe in some respects it's gone too far. Children need to be children. They need to learn what it means to actually become a bit more self-reliant. Certainly some do anyway. And again, perhaps schools could do a bit more to allow that. But again, back to this sort of fear of Ofsted, if a school is failed on its safeguarding systems, then immediately it's downgraded to something called inadequate, which is the lowest grade that the school's inspectorate gives.